Hello and welcome to the Geek on My Sleeve channel, where we do weekly book reviews and live book discussions. If you enjoy this video and you'd like more content like that, please like and subscribe. My name is Carl, and in today's video, we are going to be doing a spoiler-free book review of Scythe, Book 1 of the Arc of Scythe by Neal Shusterman. And it is narrated by Greg Tremblay. The Goodreads summary for Scythe, Arc of Scythe, Book 1, Thou Shalt Kill, a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all of those things, and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequences of failure could mean losing their own. So before we get into the book review part of this, I just want to start off by saying that it's an incredible book. This story was recommended to me not by one, but two of my friends at a social gathering. And typically, whenever you hear a book get suggested to you more than once by many different individuals, it's for a good reason. And this was good. The print length is 464 pages. The audiobook is 10 hours and 32 minutes. And even though it is young adult, I really enjoyed it. Not only did it hold my attention, but I just flew through this book. And I've read a lot of novels, again, including some young adult. And, you know, the foreshadowing was good. It was all believable, but there were several unforeseen turns that the story took, and it's nice. We've mentioned it before on this channel. It gets a bit tiresome when you feel like you could really write the story based on, you know, the foreshadowing. They pretty much say, hey, we're going to do this, and they go and do that. This book, not so much. Like I said, there were several WTF moments that just completely caught me off guard. So as the Goodreads summary says, this story takes place in the not so distant future where we've conquered death. There's no disease, there's no government, there's a lot of, you know, in the age of mortality, our current age, a lot of those fears and challenges have been completely eliminated. The Thunderhead, this AI, is the government, and it takes care of everything. Its algorithms are able to anticipate humanity's needs, and we've pretty much conquered Earth. Rulers of land and sea, and the population continues to grow exponentially, and with but a couple hundred scythes spread throughout the world meeting their 260 glean quota, the Thunderhead is able to provide for everyone. Everybody has jobs. Everyone is able to just survive without all these fears. And it's really interesting to see how society changes once those challenges are eliminated. Children no longer have to live their lives in fear, because with everything, for the exception of fire, they're only deadish. And when they get hurt, they don't even go through the excruciating pain that you and I do if we break a bone, because they have these
I'm invincible! The Black Knight always triumphs!
micro nanites that release opioids into their bodies, where it's able to dull the pain. We follow a couple different characters, and some children like to go and do these different stunts that would be, you know, incredibly dangerous in our current age of mortality, but they're literally jumping off of skyscrapers to enjoy the feel fall. And at one point, a character just talks about enjoying just feeling something, anything, before they flat on the pavement. And not only do you not have to worry about surviving these falls, but the thunderhead makes it mandatory for revival. So these children can do whatever they want, irk their parents off, essentially commit suicide, but it's not suicide, and their parents are forced to revive them. There's no real consequences for these actions, and it's really interesting to see that through society. Once you get close to death, quote unquote, like old age, you're able to reset and essentially turn back the clock as early as 21. Not everyone does that, but a lot of people do. So you have these multi-generational families where great-grandma could be younger than mom. Multi-polyamory type households where people, they reset, they remarry, just like everything in a way has changed, but it hasn't, right? Think about the union of marriage and what it means for us now compared to what it would mean if you lived for literally hundreds upon hundreds of years, with the exception of those that get gleaned. It creates for this very interesting society, this very interesting viewpoint, and I feel the author really does it well. This trilogy is called The Arc of Scythes, and at least in the first one, we follow these two apprentices.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
And we get to see the Scythe through their eyes, and you get a glimpse of what their life is like as an average, ordinary teenager, just living in this utopian society before, and then afterwards when they join the Scythe and pretty much become the most elite of the elite clubs, where you are essentially a whole separate branch of government, where you have the Thunderhead, the AI, taking care of everything in regards to growing and maintaining the society, to the other branch, the Scythes, where they are essentially a cross between what would be like the judicial system, where they get to choose who lives and they get to grant immunity to individuals for up to a year. So they'll come and they'll glean a member of a household, and then they'll grant immunity to the rest of the household. In a lot of ways, the Scythe tries to keep what they do very fair. And we get to see the Scythe several hundred years down the line, where, just like any form of government or body of individuals, they make rules and policies and these commandments in the beginning, but as time grows and evolves and things develop, those rules and commandments may not always make as much sense, and we get to see kind of that disruption between these two apprentices' eyes and going through the process of joining the Scythe and their viewpoint from society, their viewpoint through their mentor's eyes, to just interacting with the whole Scythe as a whole. And yeah, it's a really fun ride. There's so much in this story that I enjoyed, and it's really hard not to spoil it right now. I really enjoyed the characters. We get introduced to them all pretty early. There's a bit of a romance subplot in the book. One of the things I really enjoyed about the book is the Scythes have these commandments. And one of the commandments is that they're supposed to do a journal entry every day and write about their feelings, their emotions, their gleanings. And at the beginning of each chapter, we get a journal entry from these different Scythes. And we don't always know who they are, because when they leave their apprenticeship, they pick a new name, typically after a scientist, and then from then on, they're known as that scientist. That's their new name, their new title that sets them apart. The characters, we get introduced to them when they're in their apprenticeship. so we just know them by their birth names. It's kind of interesting to get those little glimpses into the Scythedom through those journal entries, through their interactions with the other Scythes. Yeah, this book, it asks a lot of those good philosophical questions that I always enjoy from science fiction. It's very easy to think that this, a utopian society would be without flaws, yet this book really kind of explores those flaws. And there's trade-offs to everything, which I think is really fun about literature. We're allowed to go and kind of explore those what-if questions and see the potential outcomes and learn what we can from those lessons. There are a lot of perks to becoming a Scythe. At some point, the characters ask themselves, would I really want to take life 5 days a week? One of the perks of being a Scythe is their families get immunity. The Scythes are above the law. If anyone from the government shows up, like the fire department, they have to follow the Scythe's wishes, not only for fear of being gleaned, but simply because that's the role that society placed the Scythes in. So they completely operate outside of normal government. They follow their own rules, and they really try not to overlap with the Thunderhead. The Thunderhead is supposed to be completely removed from the Scythedom, and the Scythedom is supposed to be completely removed from the Thunderhead and what all they're involved with. Something I thought that was very interesting is the Scythes are referred to as Your Honor. When population control starts to get too far out of hand, they don't increase the quota for the Scythes. They simply take on more apprentices to help deal with the demand. The gleaning, they try really hard to regulate it. The Scythedom makes it a point where the Scythes are allowed to go about it however they want, but if the Scythedom Council feels like they're showing bias or killing too many rich people versus poor people, they can punish them in different ways and get the gears turning. Think of all the different ways you could punish somebody if it was hard for them to truly die. The only way somebody dies forever is if they get gleamed by one of these Scythes, or if their body gets destroyed in a fire, because the revival centers need something to work with of your body. Cannot suggest this book enough. If you enjoy young adult science fiction books, something that takes place in a utopian society in the future, this book is certainly worth picking up. I know I plan to continue the trilogy. We do plan on doing a live book discussion for Scythe by Neal Shusterman. That Geek Out stream will take place on a weekend. Check geekonmysleeve.com for our calendar to see the exact date and time. And yeah, there's a lot to explore with this. I hope you're able to join us for that discussion. Hope to geek out with you guys here soon.